This week on Who Deserves to Be Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame podcast, we discuss the case for putting the group Tool into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This week, we are going to look at the case for putting the Los Angeles band Tool into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The group's original lineup was lead singer Maynard James Keenan, guitarist Adam Jones, drummer Danny Carey, and bassist Paul D'Amour. Justin Chancellor replaced Paul D'Amour in 1995 when Paul decided that he wanted to do other things. That has been the only lineup change in the history of the band, who have been eligible for the Hall since 2018. So, with all that said, let us take a look at their stats first and let's see how they've done. To the tail of the tape we go. Including their 1993 debut studio album Undertow and their 1991 EP 72826, Tool have released 5 studio albums, 1 box set, and 2 EPs. Not exactly a huge music output in 35 years and counting. However, of those, all of their studio albums and their box set hit the top 40 on the various American charts. Undertow was their lowest studio album to chart at number 19, but it sold 3 million copies. Also selling 3 million albums was 1996's Anima, but it hit number 2 on the charts. Their other 3 studio albums all went to number 1. 2001's Laturnus sold 3 million copies, 2006's 10,000 Days sold 2 million albums, while 2019's Fear Inoculum only sold 500,000 albums, becoming their only album to not go platinum, at least so far. Meanwhile, their 1992 EP Opiate went to number 12 and also went platinum. In the UK, 3 of their studio albums charted. Laturnus went to number 16, and 10,000 Days and Fear Inoculum both got to number 4. Undertow went silver, while the other studio albums all went gold. Their EP Opiate went to number 16. Tool has also released 16 singles. Of those, 13 hit the top 40 in America, with 8 of those 13 getting to the top 10 on the rock charts. In the UK, none of them made the top 40 on the charts. The group is known for the songs Stinkfist, 46 and 2, Sober, Schism, The Pot, and Fear Inoculum. Tool has won 1 of 2 Billboard Music Award nominations, 4 out of 9 Grammy Award nominations, and they were nominated for 1 MTV Video Music Award. Drummer Danny Carey has been named one of the greatest drummers of all time by Rolling Stone magazine. That's pretty good considering the lack of a lot of albums. However, Maynard has also been busy with his other band, A Perfect Circle, over the years, so that might be a good reason why Tool haven't actually put out a lot of albums, I guess. As far as who they've influenced as a band, I would say just about any experimental metal artist out there. Everybody from St. Vincent to the Deftones to Mastodon. They've all talked about how Tool influenced their work. They're critically acclaimed and relatively commercially successful, you might say, so what are the arguments for keeping them out? Well, the critics like to point out that they haven't developed a large enough discography, considering that they've been around since 1992. Like I said, they've only put out a few albums within a 35-year time span. Still, other critics like to call them a fringe rock group who don't appeal to a large number of Hall voters. A little too niche for the voters to handle, you might say. Those critics may be right, but that's where education comes in, because more people need to talk about the brilliance of Tool's music and get Tool into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Do I think that will happen within the next year or two? Probably not. But with time, I think that they will actually get into the Hall of Fame. As always, let us hear what you have to say. Leave me your comments. Play nice. Be respectful. Yes, we all know that the Hall sucks. There's no need to put it in the comments. But guess what? Everybody thinks every Hall of Fame sucks. In fact, hating on Halls of Fame is as American as, well, hating on Halls of Fame. Don't believe me? Try talking to baseball or football fans about their halls of fame. I myself have some very serious issues with those halls. As for our discussion in the comment section, just let me know whether you think Tool should or should not be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and let me know why they should or should not be in the Hall of Fame. And that is it for who deserves to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We also invite you to check out our other podcast, the Music History Today podcast, where we go over what happened on that date in music history. That podcast drops daily, including weekends, on this channel that you're either watching or listening to this podcast on. We also have the Music History In-Depth podcast, where we go more in-depth into the events that happened for that week in music history. And that podcast posts every Tuesday on this channel that you're either watching or listening to this podcast on. Thank you very, very much for listening or watching if you're on YouTube or Spotify.